You might be asked in the interview the question like this: what will be console logged here? And as you can see here, we have console log foo and then foo equals 1. And actually this is a typical question regarding hoisting. So what hoisting error means? It means that the declaration of your variable will bubble to the top of the file. And this is how it works in JavaScript when you are using var keyword or function keyword. So the question is what we will see here. We have here console log foo, and foo is a variable, but as you can see it is not declared. And on the second line we have foo equals 1. Actually we will get here an error. Let's check this out. I'm reloading the page and we are getting foo is not defined. Why it is happening? Because yes, the first line which is executed is console log, and foo is not defined inside our file. This is why we have this error. So the correct answer here, we will get an error because foo is not defined. The main problem is here that typically you will get such answers just to answer on the paper without any usage of computer, because obviously programmers are not using computers every day. This is why you can't really test it in browser, and you need to understand how all this stuff is working beforehand. After a correct answer, you probably will be asked something like this. So the next question then will be, okay, we're console logging here foo, but after this we have var foo equals 2. And actually here is the huge difference, because in first question we had here foo equals 1, but we didn't have a creation of the variable. But here we have var2, which is actually a creation of the variable, but you might think, okay, var2 happens after console log, which means we will still get an error that foo is not defined because var2 happens later. But actually this is a wrong answer, because the main idea is that var declaration is bubbling to the top of the file, which means it is exactly the same code like writing here var foo, and here we're just assigning foo to 2. This is exactly the same code. This is how JavaScript interprets this code. This is why if we will open a browser, you can see that we're getting undefined. Why it is happening? Because actually here we have var foo, and in this case var foo is undefined because we didn't assign any value. After this we have a console log foo, we're getting undefined, and only after this we're assigning 2 inside foo, which means it won't be an error, it won't be 2, it will be undefined. And this process is called hoisting. If you answered correctly, you might get one more question regarding hoisting. As you can see here is question 3, we have here foo equals 3, then console log foo, and then var foo. And I think now you know the answer. Yes, we have here var foo, and it bubbles to the top of the file, which means actually this var foo is exactly like is written here, which means on the first line we are defining foo property, on the next line we are assigning foo to 3, and after this we are console logging foo, which means it will be equal 3. And it doesn't really matter that var foo is going at the end, it will be bubbled to the top. Let's check this out. I'm reloading the page and we're getting 3, and this is exactly what we were waiting. And you can get exactly the same question, but not with var, but with function keyword. If you have somewhere in your code function, and then the name of your function, and then inside you are writing some logic, this specific definition will bubble to the top. Which actually means it doesn't really matter in what line of your code you are writing function foo, it will be the first line that will be executed in JavaScript. Which actually means if here before I will call foo, it is totally fine. As you can see in browser, we are not getting any errors because this foo function is bubbled to the top, and it works exactly the same like var. And here is one more important thing that you must add to your answer. You must mention that we can use const and let, and we don't have any problems with them, because both const and let are not bubbling at all. Which means if we write here const a equals 1, it won't bubble anywhere. If it is defined on the 17th line, then it will be existed only in 17th line. Which means we don't have any problems with const and let, and the way that JavaScript interprets our code is exactly the same like code that we're seeing on the screen. So you can just say that you're using const and let in every single project, and you don't have any problem with bubbling of the variable or with hoisting.